Welcome everyone back to Beat the Game. It's Steve. Time to talk about Drax and understanding the mechanics. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a breakdown of the new cards that are introduced in Drax Hero Pack. We're going to talk about what to prioritize, what synergies they have, and how we can combine these in some of the other aspects and all that. So we're going to take a big down look at our friend Draxipoo, where he is an outlaw. He has 4 recovery, he has a hand size of 6, and 14 hit points. So that is pretty solid. It's just 1 under She-Hulk and 4 under Hulk. So again, as far as characters go, a hand size of 6 and everything, he is pretty solid. He does have a force response, which is pretty amazing. After you change to this form, remove all vengeance counters from Drax. Heal 2 damage from him for each vengeance counter removed. Now, this is something that's really interesting. It is basically, once you have all 3 of your vengeance counters, it is a recovery of 6, which is pretty darn good. So you recover for 6 for free. So it's 1.5 times what your rec is. So, and if you happen to, you know what, I'm going to recover, and you have your 3 vengeance counters, and you're like, okay, I understand. I'm going to flip down, draw a heal 6, heal 10. And most of the times, if you're like at 2 to 3 health, you're going to go right back up to full strength. And I think that's going to be really, really strong with Drax. The fact that you don't have to waste too much time in Alter Ego. So for me, it's a super smart design. All right, here we go. Wish... this is a dream. I often want to try Hulk with his mechanic, because I'm really sure if you played Hulk like this, with what he has for the vengeance counters and everything, I think it would be, or it would just be rage counters, you know. All right, but we're not here to talk about Hulk. Hulk is it's dead and done, and Drax is the new now. All right, here we go. So now Draxipoo, and I think the color's a little off because of the lighting, but it's you know what, I'm in a hotel room. What do you want me to do? All right, so Drax, a thwart of 1, an attack of 1, and a defense of 2. So stats, guys, it's okay. Easy Guardian, but Drax gets +1 attack for each vengeance counter on him. Now, how does he get these vengeance counters? Response: after the villain attacks Drax. And this is where it's super important. Once he attacks Drax, place 1 vengeance counter here to a maximum of 3. If you cannot, draw a card. Now, he has built-in card draw, but the villain has to attack you. Now, the biggest question is, what if I defend with an ally? Well, the villain is initiating an attack against me. Now, remember, what the defense rule says, it says the villain, whoever blocks is now the attacked character. So if I defend with an ally, the villain is no longer attacking Drax, so you are not getting those vengeance counters. You have to take the hit. You have to take the hit if you are going to get that counter. Now, his kit comes with a lot of protection stuff and super good damage mitigation cards. So this is going to make this a little bit easier for you to stay in hero form longer and just absorbing those counters, so you can actually have the villain attack you and get that extra card draw. So once he has those 3 counters, trust me, Drax is a whole new machine. All right, he becomes extremely powerful. So this is where lies the strategy. All right, getting those vengeance counters is extremely important. Now, here's a little tips and tricks. I played Drax in a multiplayer. On my turn 1, I had 1 Fight Me Coward, which is the card we're going to look at in a second. You get to ready, draw a card, the villain attacks you. Perfect. So I can't remember what I did. I think I punched for 1 or removed the threat or something like that. And then I had the villain attack me. Or I think I just defended the first attack. So he attacked me. I think I took 1 damage. And then I had my first vengeance counter. Then what I did is, during the villain's attack step, I defended for somebody else. So then I defended his attack. And then I got maybe 1 or 2 damage. And then I had my second vengeance counter. And then the villain attacked me. I had a parry in my hand, or a subdue. I forget what it's one of the protection cards. So I mitigated the damage, and now right away I have my 3 vengeance counters. So by the end of the first round, I was already Drax maxed. I like that, Drax max. I think I'm gonna coin that. All right, it's good. So that is where you want to go in a multiplayer game. You know, bam, you are happy when the villain attacks you. That is one of the weird things about Drax. Come at me, bro. All right, so because you want to build up that vengeance. So that is where you want to do, and then you have an attack of 4, and a lot of his cards are going to be depending on his attack. So that's what we're going to look at too as well. So let's look at the priority cards. All right, what are the cards that you want to prioritize when you are playing Drax? All right, so if you're playing the pre-con, we're going to pretend that we're just playing the pre-con, and I'll put in some deck ideas at the end of the video. If you guys want to check those out, you want to try them. I've already play tested most of them, and they are amazing. They're super good, they're fast, they're fun, and they work really, really well. All right, so here we go. So the first priority card that you are going to find is called the the C.I.T.T Mastery, or I just call it, what did I call it? As Tweedledee, yeah, Tweedledee Mastery. All right, so whatever. The C.I.T.T Mastery is a 1-cost upgrade. Hero response. After Drax makes a basic attack, draw a card. Now, look at this. There is no limit on that draw card. So if you attack 2, 3, 4 times, every time Drax attacks, you draw more cards. My gosh, this is so good. I almost wish somebody would put him in Avenger, and then you could use the Earth's Mightiest Heroes in leadership, you know? Boom, boom, combo time. With leadership, you know, somebody makes him an Avenger, but that's only in a multiplayer game. But then you can just attack multiple times, use your Avengers as resource, which is a strategy that we all know. But yeah, but with Drax, now that he can draw cards, it's just amazeballs how good this card is. So this should be your first priority to put down. All right, if you have it, you play this card. You don't even question yourself. This is the card you play, even if you have a hand size of 4 in his hero form. Oh yeah, sorry. In his hero form, he has a hand size of 4. But there's a good reason for that, because of this card and because of his vengeance counters. You attack once, then you take a villain's attack. You have 3 vengeance. You get a hand size of 5, and you do an attack. Then you have a hand size of 6. So there you go. So he has a 6 hand size in hero form. All right. So think about it like that. It's pretty dang good. All right. So C.I.T.T Mastery, obviously the first one. Now, all the other ones are priority 2, all right? So if you have them, you play them, but depending on what the situation is. Now, it's Drax Knife. Now, I know art is subjective, but what's with his face? I'm like, all right, well, okay, whatever. So Drax, another 1-cost upgrade. Drax kit, one thing is I noticed is everything is darn cheap. Everything is super abortable and super easy to put down. So Drax's knife, 1-cost upgrade, weapon, restricted. Again, maximum of 2 restricted items. Just be sure if you're going to play in aggression or in other places that have restricted weapons. So if you want to play an aggression, you want to play a Yonborn. Well, remember, you can have this and Yonborn, but you can't have this Yonborn and his other knife. All right, so those are things that you need to remember when you're going to be playing Drax. All right, so Drax's knife, restricted, and then while in hero form, Drax gets +1 attack. So there you go. That's it. Even if you have no vengeance counters, he starts at 2. So with 3 vengeance counters, he can go up to 5, and in aggression, he can go up to 6. I know I'm talking a little bit about aggression, and I should stop my mouth at that, because we're not talking about other builds here. But yeah, so he can become extremely powerful with his basic attacks. So that is a character that you want to be able to use his basic attack often. So again, the other one is Drax's other knife. While in hero form, Drax gains Retaliate. It's 1-cost upgrade. It's another weapon that is restricted. So if you have these 2 weapons, again, you are maxed out on restricted items. If you do decide to play another restricted item, you will have to discard one of those. Remember, it's max 2 restricted cards per player. It doesn't say per deck. So if you do want to play, let's say the Godslayer, or all the weapons I know are in aggression, but I think the Sonic Cannon, I think, is coming, and that's Injustice, so that's another weapon. So yeah, so the weapons that you definitely want to keep these 2 weapons. And I think, oh yeah, but there's something called the Holster that's coming in I think it's Venom's pack. Yeah, all right. See, concentrate. All right, too excited, too many good cards. All right, so these 2 weapons, obviously, super, super important to have there. It's going to help you mitigate damage, you know, and then retaliate damage, get rid of tough status cards, so you can actually, you know, punch through. The next priority, and this is also one of the priorities, Mantis. Oh man, Mantis, which I keep calling Nebula for some reason. All right, so Mantis here is a 2-cost ally. Right there, 2-cost ally is fantastic. Fantastic. She has the stats of Maria Hill, but with more health. I'm like, what can go wrong? So Mantis is a 2-cost guardian, 2 thwart for 1 damage, 1 attack for 2 damage. Why would you attack with her? And has an action, exhaust Mantis and deal 1 damage to her. Heal 3 damage from an identity. Okay, so there's been a debate on this on the chat room. Is like, well, if Mantis has only 1 health left, will she still have do the heal 3? So from what I know, all right, and from what the ruling says, all right, so you take a damage, yes, she would be defeated, but she did resolve everything to the left of their arrow, so everything to the right will resolve as well. I don't think there's like weird timing. This is not Magic the Gathering, so there's no weird timing. You did everything on the left, bam, you're gonna heal 3 damage from an identity. Done. She's out. Kick her out. Now, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but I'm pretty sure that she can heal you for 9, which is pretty amazeballs. But now, by playing the precon, I've noticed that I don't really use her heal ability. I do use, that's with the precon, I am using her for a thwart of 2 because there is not a lot of thwart events and thwart cards in his kit. So Mantis is extremely important for threat removal. If you haven't seen my game, you can see I play Expert Claw and I played Expert Drang in the video, and you can see like, wow, the threat removal is very important. It was a little bit less in the Drang video because I had the Milano that actually helps with that, and I think I actually healed him a couple times. So this is how you know that an ally can be very versatile. She can heal you if you're down, and she can remove threat if you need threat to be the priority. So this is definitely a card that you want to put on the table, no questions asked. All right, and then the final card is the Too Stubborn to Die. 2-cost upgrade, which is fantastic for him. A 2-cost upgrade that says Hero Interrupt. So it's a Hero Interrupt, but it is an upgrade card, all right? So it's an upgrade, so it has to be played on the table. If you have this in your hand, you can't play that and then be like, oh, I'm okay. No, it has to be on the table. So Too Stubborn to Die is a condition. 2-cost upgrade says Hero Interrupt when Drax would be defeated. Instead, set his set points to 4, change to his alter ego form, and remove this card from the game. Now, what's really nice is it doesn't exhaust you when you flip down. So that is super cool. So you can be like, all right, bro, come at me. I know I'm going to flip. I have my 3 vengeance counters. So basically, you go to 4, but if you have those 3 vengeance counters, when you flip and die or would die, you go right back up to 10. So you're right back there, and you can heal, go back up to 14, and then come back right away as a hero change. Because this doesn't count as a flip form. All right, so this doesn't count as your basic action to flip to your alter ego side. So again, Too Stubborn to Die. It is a priority number 2. You want to have that on the table just in case because it's really good, but it's not a priority number 1. Like I said, it can go in a later game. And if you see it in your opening hand, don't be afraid to pitch that unless you have nothing else. If you see like, oh, I have a double resource and I have it, then okay, cool. But I would definitely dig for these cards first before the Too Stubborn to Die. All right, so there you go. So there we go. Now we're going to talk about his events. He's got a bunch of events, and they're all super, super important. All right. Now let's first talk about the most expensive one, and I think the most cool one. It is the knife leap. So this is a 3-cost event. All right, so that is expensive. But Steve, you said most of this stuff is free. Well, where's the catch? Reduce the cost to play this card by 1 for each vengeance counter on Drax. So if the villain attacked you once, it's a cost of 2. And what does it do? Hero Interrupt. When you would make a basic attack, you get +5 for that attack. That attack gains overkill and piercing. Now remember, it has to be a basic attack. So if you are exhausted and you have this card in your hand, well, too bad, so sad. You cannot play that. Unless you have a card that can ready you, this is not going to be very useful. All right? So don't be afraid to spend it as a resource. It is an amazing card, but I think this is really good once Claw has his Claw. Once Drax has his 3 vengeance counters or even 2 vengeance counters, if you're playing that for 1, it's really good. It's basically your Hulk smash that can give Drax, once he's fully built, an attack of 10 with overkill and trample, or overkill and piercing. There you go. So that is super strong. So again, this is a priority number 2, number 3. If you have nothing to play in your opening hand, if you look at your hand, you're like, oh, okay, I can't build anything. But there's a big minion in front of me, and he's gonna get annoying fast. And there you go. And I think I use this. I kept it in my opening hand. I had it in my opening hand, but I like, oh, do I play this or I build a little bit first? I ended up building, and then I used it the next turn because it was actually cheaper. And then I went through, I think it was Tiger Shark, and I went right through him like butter, even with his tough status card. So that is very good. But again, you need to know when to play this when it makes sense. All right. So again, don't just do that on turn 1. And spend like four because it costs 1, so it's a 3 cost of 4. So don't spend all your resources on a card like that unless you have nothing better to play. All right, one of the other great cards I really like is a 1 cost. It's called Intimidation. Oh yeah, so as far as value goes, once you get 0 for a +5 attack, I think it's one of the strongest cards in the game. And I think there's a lot of these strongest cards in the game with Drax's hero pack. And we'll talk about Intimidation. So again, Intimidation is a 1 cost event. Is it a thwart event? It says hero action. Remove X threat from a scheme where X is equal to your attack. So again, if you have those vengeance counters, you can be up to 5 attack. One cost for a 5 thwart. What's the best? No, the best is 1 for 4. So this is 1 for 5, and again, depending on what aspect you are, it can give you 1 for 6, which is Ms. Marvel good. All right. So that is because she knows she can shrink stuff. So all right, so that is again super solid card. Definitely, if you can use this, I'm talking if you're playing against Rhino and you're like breaking and taking is out. All right, and let's say you have your knife or you have a card that the villain can attack you, so you take a damage and then you can actually get rid of this, and that's what I used with Expert Claw. I was able to get an Intimidation, and then have the villain attack me, took some damage, and then intimidated, and then there you go. It doesn't matter because I did remove like 3. Because I had like 1 vengeance counter. That's really good. Or if you get your knife, there's some really good combinations with Intimidation on turn 1 where you can make it work to remove up to 3 threat. You thwart for 1, and then you have your knife. Bang, there you go. Thwarts for 3. Done. And then you get rid of that sight scheme, that pesky sight scheme on turn 1. So again, trying to figure out the math here and try to figure out how to prioritize some of those actions. All right, one of the other cool cards is Payback. Hero response. Attack. After the villain attacks you, deal X damage to the villain where X is equal to your attack. So again, super strong. And this is not a defense card. This is an attack card. So again, if you are bound by stunned, this is a 0 cost stun removal, right? And again, you don't have to defend to be able to use this. But again, if you're playing Drax and you have 2 of these in your hand and you're at full strength, you are paybacking. It's a 0 for 5 damage card. Oh my gosh, 0 for 5 damage. I don't think there's something better than that in the game as of now. So Payback, super strong. Definitely a card that you want to keep checking out. All right, after that we're going to talk about Parry. So one of the good things about Drax is you don't need to actually take damage to be able to get those vengeance counters. So if you have if you take 1 damage or if you take no damage, you are still going to get that vengeance counter. So that is super important. And Parry is super strong. Again, one of the strongest defense events in the game because check it out. But again, subjective to the number of to your attack. So that's why having those vengeance counters is super important. So a 0 cost parry says hero interrupt defense when you would take any amount of damage, prevent X of that damage where X is equal to double your attack. So You have a 1, you prevent 2. You have 2, you prevent 4. You have 3, prevent 6. And it goes 6, 8 to 10. So you can go up to 10. Actually, you can actually go up to 12 in aggression, which is just crazy. So you can take Rhino with double charge and his thing and just be like, yeah, bro, just come at me. So that is super, super good. And you can take a fully powered Ronin too that normally attacks for 9 or 10. And you just like laugh it off. Ah ha ha, Ronin! All right, but Ronin is just a pawn. Thanos. Thanos is the guy you want to kill. All right, so there you go. So Perry, super, super strong card. Definitely. What's sad is when you get those in your opening hand, they're not super good. But if you get them in mid-game or like on turn 2, turn 3, now they start becoming really, really good because you're like, oh, okay, I can survive the attack. I can, get my vengeance counter up, and then cool. All right, and then the final card of his kit is called Fight Me, Coward! It is a zero-cost event. Hero action, ready your hero. And we know if you have that Twiddle-D mastery there, you get to draw cards when you do those attacks. So that's super cool that you can combination with this. So zero-cost event, ready your hero, and draw a card. So again, you can draw into one of your defense events. You can draw something good. And then the villain attacks you, which will do what? Give you a vengeance counter. So again, super solid. So if you're exhausted, you can actually defend the attack as well. So very smart card here, which allows you again to have the villain attack you. If he's one of those villains with like a low attack, you're just laughing. You just defend it, put those vengeance counter, and keep your health up. I think that is one of the things that's really good. So all of these cards, all of his event cards, they come in 2 copies of each of those cards. So again, it's not like something is more focused on. It's very well rounded. 2 of each of these cards. So you know what you have to do when you want to see those. All right, so like I said, I gave you timing, gave you priority. Now let's look at some of the cool new protection cards that we have. And I think we're going to go by order of casting cost. All right, so I think this is the strongest protection card right now for some of these really good heroes. And I'm talking anybody who has an attack who can or can buff their attack to more than 3. This is going to be a broken card for protection. All right, so especially in a multiplayer game, think about Quicksilver, who can pump his attack 1 turn for 6. If he has 3 in these, this is an always be ready, an always be running. All right, so this is exactly the same. So what does this say? It's a zero-cost event. When your hero makes a basic attack, discard the top card of the encounter deck. So again, you get to get rid of some crap from the encounter deck, and then reduce your hero's attack for that attack for the number of printed boost icons. So again, if you have an attack of 2, this is not a card that you want to play, because if you get a boost of 2 or a boost of 3, yeah, well then you go. You're making no damage. You just wasted a basic attack to do nothing. So again, this is not a card that you want to play on your turn 1, unless you want to combine this with Knife Leap. All right, so that basically gives you an attack of 6 minus whatever, and you get to ready and do it again. So that's super, super good. So that's a super cool combo that I noticed that I could play in the beginning of the game as well. So very interesting, but leading blow, super, super strong. Especially, it's going to be good with Drax, but it's going to be good with a lot of characters that can pump their attack more than 3. I'm thinking Hulk here when he has this thing, he attacks and then he can attack again. And if you get a few of those, man, Hulk can attack just 3-4 times in protection, which is amazing. So you can defend, get ready, protect, attack. All right. So this is good because it's zero cost as well. So zero cost events are money. All right, let's look at the other card. This is a very cool card. It is a 1 cost event. There is no title on it. Yeah, the other one was a tactic. But this one is a 0 cost event with no title on it. So it's a hero interrupt. So, and I'll explain the really cool thing about this. When an enemy initiates an attack, that enemy gets -3 for that attack. All right, now what's super fun about this is you can play protection without having to defend. So You can be, I can play, let's say, Captain America. I'm in protection. I'm exhausted. I can't defend for you, but wait. Here, I'm going to pay 1 card and I'll reduce his attack for 3. So here, mitigate the damage, which is very good with Drax because if you're mitigating 3 damage, that's 90% of the villains have an attack of 2 or 3. Only a few have an attack of 4. So you're basically just dealing with the boost card. So that can be really, really good. So then you can go from 0 to 3. So I think it's going to be, this is a card that's very, very good, especially in the precon for Drax because it helps you stay alive and it helps you take those vengeance counters like a champ. But this is when an enemy initiates an attack. So I'm thinking cards like, in Mess of Things, you have Scorpion, who has Quick Strike and an attack of 3. Well, there you go. And then you don't get stunned, There's ways that it's going to be good against certain scenarios as well. So I really like this card. I think it's a sleeper card. I think you need a build for it, but if you build, there's a really cool protection where you just support other characters. Most of the time, you're just playing med teams and healing. But if you can do damage mitigation as well, man, it's going to go a long way to keeping your heroes alive. All right, so that is super good. I really like the Subdue. Next card that we're going to talk about is Deflection. And this I really think is going to be a sleeper card, especially people are going to pass this and be like, this is garbage. This is not garbage. This is a very, very strong card. So one of the things that I can prove it with is when I played against Drang. Drang's attacking. I was taking Drang on, and I never took his spear away. So he was attacking for 4 plus boost and everything else. But being able to play that Defection and removing up to 5 damage means I'm taking 1 or 2 damage from a 4 attack villain. I'm laughing because I can take 15 attacks before he does me any damage. All right, and then before I'm actually in danger. So this is a super good card. So think about Ronan with his fanaticisms. We're talking about, I'll just put an ally. And I think that's one of the debate. I'll just put an ally. Yeah, but allies, they go to the collection. They go to that other stuff if you're playing the GM, the Guardians campaign. But Deflection is this really cool event. Yes, it goes through your deck a little bit, but for the amount of damage prevented. Did I even read the card? All right, Hero Interrupt. It's a skill. When an identity. So again, it doesn't have to be you. It can be anyone else for, again, that support build. When an identity would take any amount of damage from an attack. So it doesn't even have to be from the villain attack. Prevent up to 5 of that damage. Discard cards from the top of your deck. So the person who's playing this equal to the amount of prevented damage this way. So I think this is a very, very smart card. Because Ronan, when he's attacking for 5, 6, 7, you have a defense of 3, so you're still taking like 4 or 5 damage. This can make you, have these perfect defense turns, especially if you're playing in protection. This is going to be good, and then you can draw some other cards. You can retaliate. You have, the hard to ignores. So this makes the perfect defense game, even against Ronan, viable. This is why I like this card. All right, so this can really change protection against Ronan in a multiplayer game. I'm really not. I don't think it's there for solo yet, but in a multiplayer game, this can definitely be viable if you're playing a strong character like Drax, who can attack for a bunch and doesn't want to exhaust to defend. So this is, I think, a very, very strong strategy here. All right, so Deflection. All right, the next one is, I think, my new favorite card for Peter Quill. It's Hard Knocks. All right, and again, Quill is on this 3-cost event. Hard Knocks, it's an attack event. I love attack events. Protection was lacking a lot of attack events, and this is a very strong one. Hero action, attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy. So this can be even the villain, so anything. And then if that enemy is defeated by this attack, all right, give your hero a tough status card. So that is awesome. You can finish off the villain, give yourself a tough, and then, you know what? Boom, done. You have an annoying minion in front of you, kill the minion, get a tough, take the next attack from the boss. Again, super smart to introduce these cards with this particular character. It makes tons of sense. So Hard Knocks, it is a little expensive, but if you think about Drax's kit, most of his cards are free. All right. So everything else is just gravy. So once you have Drax's stuff on the table, and he only has like 5 cards that you want to put on the table from his kit, everything else is just like, all right, he doesn't need to build up. All right. He's very fast to build because he only has these 5 cards that he needs or wants to have on the table. And you don't even need all of them. You're just looking for 1 or 2 of them to make him super powerful. So this is, again, a very, very interesting a card, Hard Knocks. Love it, love it, love it. All right, now we're going to get introduced to a couple new allies. First one is Moondragon. All right, Moon Boy. He looks a little weird, but he's cool. I like the earrings. I'm like, all right. So he is a 3-cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, Guardian with only 2 health. So this is a hard sell for me. All right, so it's a 3-cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 health, but he is a Guardian. So at least you get a couple of new Guardian characters. Action. Exhaust and discard Moondragon. All right. Choose a minion. That minion attacks another enemy of your choice. Now that is pretty awesome though. So again, I'm going to bring up the example of Scorpion. Scorpion's on the table, or, you know, Tiger Shark's on the table, or even, what's his face? Not Absorbing Plan, Radioactive Man, you know? All right, so Radioactive Man, attack the villain. You're not going to discard that card that has that force interrupt because he's not attacking you now. He's going to be attacking the villain. So that's super good. Scorpion attacks the villain, stuns the villain. Amazing. All right, so there's a couple of places where this becomes really interesting. I'm thinking also like the ones that attack for a lot there. I forget what they are, but I think is it the Kree Fanatics or the Badoon Warlords that have overkill. So that's actually really, really good. All right, so the Badoon Warlord attacks into, you know, the other Badoon Warlord and then kills him. Or there you go. So there's ways to have the villains fight each other. So I really like it. But he's expensive, and then I don't think he's a Drax card. I don't think I would put him in a Drax card in the upgraded version of his precon. I think Moondragon is just okay. But again, I just like his ability because it's something new, all right? Because it's something different that we haven't seen yet. So I kind of like it, all right? But I'm going to have to figure out where I want to play Moon Boy because it's a one-time event. You have to have a minion, and there's a lot of like if that go in. So that's, for me, it's a little tough. But the good thing is Moondragon with the sleeper is pretty fun because you know you're probably going to get him, and then if you're playing against Red Skull, you can just have the sleeper attack the Red Skull, which is pretty fun instead of you taking 3 in the face. All right, and then the final ally that is presented in protection is called Martyr Philavel. She is a 4-cost ally, and there's a good reason for that. 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health, Guardian, and says response after Martyr takes consequential damage from performing an attack. So she's still taking consequence damage. If that attack defeated an enemy, give her a tough status card. So not only a minion, but an enemy. So again, if you had 2 damage left to kill the boss, well, bang, she still gets that tough after she takes her consequence damage. So again, this character paired with a med team, wow. So what she does is, if you're not playing Drax, because Drax wants to soak up the hits, but for any other character, so this is like it's a permanent Luke Cage. And again, that's why the cost of 4 is there, and it's smart. Again, it has to defeat an enemy, but there is ways around it. And especially in protection, that you can put a little bit of damage here and there. There's always a way that something at 2 health is going to die. So the two health minions, there's not that many. I think there's like 6 or 7 modular sets that have those. But a lot of them have 3. So again, if you're playing with somebody who's playing aggression and they give you a combat training, now it's 3 damage and kills almost everything, and then so she gets a tough. So what's good about this is, again, she attacks for 2, she kills the dude, she gets a tough. All right, perfect. Villain turn. All right, block for me. Awesome. Next turn. All right, we ready up. Do our thing. All right, now kills a minion. Yeah. All right, so basically she's around for 2 to 3 turns. She can deal like 4 damage, but she can actually take 3 hits for you back to back. So that is what I like about her. It's very, very interesting. I don't even know if it's a, yeah, it looks like a girl. Yeah, she's got the boobage on the costume. I wasn't even sure. I was like, all right. So that is, again, a very cool character for the Guardians. Again, I think there's going to be a special kind of build for her to make her stay on the table longer, and how we can figure that out. But again, the fact that the ally can stay into play as for as long as it is pretty darn good. All right, and finally, my Gamora. All right, we're going to talk about Ms. Gamora. It is our Guardian ally that is being introduced. All right, so Gamora is a 1 thwart, 3 cost ally Guardian. All right, with 3 health. She has 1 thwart, 2 attack. And you can only play her, again, if you are a Guardian, because they don't want you to play Guardians with other people. Like, why would you? All right. And then hero response, after Gamora attacks or thwarts, discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard an event, and then add that card to your hand. Now, what is awesome is she is card draw. All right, she's going to discard maybe some cards, but if you're playing a character like Ms. Marvel or somebody else that's very event-focused, like the Wasp and stuff like that, she is very, very efficient in fishing out some new cards for you from your deck. So again, I think it's very good. Again, you're like, well, Steve, you can't really play her. Yeah, you can. If you're playing her in leadership, you make the call, you can bring her in. All right, with make the call. All right. So again, don't say you can't. You can always do stuff, but you just need to be creative. So this is basically obviously for a leadership. But even with the Guardians, you're thinking Peter Quill, Star-Lord, you want your sliding shots. You want those daring escapes. So she actually helps you fetch those. And again, even I think the only one where she's not too good is Rocket, because Rocket's not too big on events, and so you don't really want to discard half your deck to find an event. But again, it's all depending on how you're going to build your deck. So if you're going to include Gamora, just think about that when you're deck building, because that is something that can be a little bit tricky. You'll be like, because I remember when I started playing Drax with her, and I played a couple games with the Precon, I'm like, oh no, I use her on turn 1, and then I discard my double resources, my knives, my mantis, and I'm like, oh my god, this character is garbage. But then sometimes I was hitting a card on turn 1, I'm like, oh yes, this is exactly what I need. So again, it was good for this deck because there is a lot of events. If we notice that the deck is mostly events for Drax. So this makes a lot of sense. All right, so that is it for Gamora. Again, overall, this hero pack is super solid, very good, and this passed the test in expert, and definitely is going to pass the test for standard play. It's going to be very, very efficient. Now, one of the things to think about in the deck, threat mitigation is going to be your biggest weakness. So make sure that you think about that when you're playing the deck. If you have cards that can help you remove some threat, make sure that you prioritize some of those cards. But if you're going all in on damage, Drax is definitely a character. I don't know if you saw the game. I beat Expert Drang in less than 10 minutes. I beat Rhino with this in about 5 minutes. He can be very, very fast and efficient, especially because there's other cards that I didn't talk about because they're reprints. The counter punches, the counter punches and Indomitables, and then there's the athletic conditionings, which I don't think it was a useful card. I would have preferred the 2 thwart card there to the rescue instead of the athletic conditioning, but that's just me. Because I'm like, I athletic conditioning, I'm like, I barely run them now. So for me, I think I would have preferred the thwart event rather than just the remove a stun there on occasion. All right, so that is it for the Drax hero pack. Again, strategy. Don't be afraid to defend. Don't just go all in on attack. Don't be afraid to defend until you have those 3 vengeance counters, because once those 3 vengeance counters are there, now you have all the tools you need to prevent damage and get that, and then you want to stay in hero form, and all his cards are going to help you do just that. All right, guys, so that is for Drax. Now let's look at some of the interesting cards that they're bringing. So again, there's one reprint in the basics aspect, but then there's 3 new cards. One for aggression, which is called Bring It, which is a very, very interesting card. 0 cost event, max once per phase. Obviously, that would be too good. This is an Ultron mutagen formula Drang card. Draw a card for each minion engaged with you. This is definitely something that Thor is gonna love because he can fetch out minions. If you're building up and you can have 4 or 5 minions in front of you, that can just be broken. But again, it's a very situational card. A lot of people say, "Oh man, this card is broken." It's broken against Ultron because Ultron, you're always gonna have 2 or 3 drones in front of you. So yes, this is good. Every other scenario, if you got maybe 1 or 2 minions in front of you, you're already in trouble. So drawing, it's basically a +1 card. So remember, it's a 0 cost, but it's a true cost of 1. So if it nets you 1 card, it's pretty good. If it nets you 2 card, it becomes amazing. And if it nets you 3 cards, well then, holy smokes, it's amazeballs. So again, very situational card. I don't think it's the best card in the game, but it is definitely a new addition that is going to make sense for Thor. All right, I'm trying to see who else is going to benefit from that because Thor, he draws for minions, so this is just going to this is basically, hey, this should be Thor on this. All right, but Rocket as well, and again, or any character playing aggression against Ultron, this is going to make sense. All right, this is, I think, the second most powerful card, or one of the most powerful cards for Justice. That is for dang sure. And there's a reason why it is only a Guardians thing that you can play that. All right, because it is so good. This would break a lot of characters, making it very, very easy. So think fast for a 1 cost. It's just so cheap and so efficient. Hero action, play only if your event identity has the Guardian trait. Take a damage, confuse the villain. I love the art on it. I love the Rocket just going in and like, boo. Like, hey, I warned you. So I really love the art. I love this card. It's gonna break solo for Guardians and Justice. That's for dang sure. For 1 damage, you get to flip whenever you want. Rocket is loving this. Quill is gonna love this too. Just bang. Okay, I can go. I can recover. I can go down. I'm like, yeah, I'm safe. I'm like, yeah, just whatever. I took a few encounter cards. The advances are gone. This is a card that is gonna really, really make the Guardians go, really become very powerful. All right, so again, it's a good thing it's Guardians only. All right, because it would be broken if it would be for everyone. All right, and then the last card, which is, again, I think the strongest card. And again, Leadership is getting one of the most powerful cards. It is a 1 cost support card. And again, the fact that this card is not an event is blowing my mind. 1 cost support called Regroup. Interrupt. When an ally is defeated by an enemy attack, return it to its owner's hand instead of discarding it. Now, this is where this card it's good, and there's where its limits. It is a forced interrupt. It is a forced interrupt. When the round ends, discard this card. So you play it, you better have all your allies be ready to die, or you better have 1 or 2 allies that are gonna die, because when the round ends, it's super powerful. But this is something I think a lot of people are gonna miss. It is when the round ends. It doesn't matter if no allies died. If the round ends, this card gets discarded. All right, so remember this when you're playing this. Regroup. When an ally is defeated by an enemy attack, return it to its owner's hand. So it can't be dying from consequential damage. So if you have 3 allies and you block with 3 people, boop, 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 Maria Hill, Iron Fart, Nick Fury, bang, bang, bang. All 3 of them come back. It's super, super good. All right, and it is an interrupt. So another thing that you need to understand, if you have the rapid response card, so this will go before the rapid response trigger. Okay, again, it's very important to know these things, because rapid response, it is a response. It is not an interrupt. Let me see. Yeah, it is a hero response. All right. So an interrupt always takes priority over a response. So when an ally is defeated, and then after an ally you control is defeated, discard. And this is why an enemy attack. It's just after an ally you control is defeated. Okay, so this is going to take priority over rapid response. Really, really important that you guys think about that when you're going to be playing that, if you have the rapid response. But again, Nick Fury comes right back to your hand. You play it. You don't have a regroup. Bam, he goes back, comes back. So there's a lot of cool ways to combo with this card. I think it's going to be an amazeballs cards for leadership. It's going to make leadership even better because your allies just don't die. So you're going to want to hold on to this when you're like, all right, leadership blocking is. I think leadership is just broken right now. So that's why is one of the allies I play the least. All right. Oh shoot, I forgot. Where's my obligation? Is it? Oh, it's in. I was playing right now. All right, so where's my obligation? All right, so there you go. Drax, the jazz player, because remember in the story, Drax was human before, or somewhat human. He was an alien somewhere, but he had human-like features, and then he was actually a saxophone player. That's pretty funny. All right, I didn't know that. All right, so memories of another life. Obligation, give to the Drax player. You may flip to alter ego form. So again, you always have the choice to flip here. Exhaust your alter ego. Remove memories of another life from the game, which is, typical. So again, you flip, you heal for 6. So you get this card. It's okay. That's what sucks is if you're at full health, you still lose those vengeance counters, and then you would be like, So sometimes it's good to stay at like 7, 8 health. So at least if you do get this card, you at least heal for something. And then if not, you are stunned. And if you're already stunned, this card is going to gain surge. Discard this card. So again, you have the choice. You don't have to flip, but if you don't, you get stunned. So, but sometimes, you know what? Stay in hero form. You don't need to take the stun. Use one of your cards called Payback when the villain attacks you. Just remove your stun. And there you go. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All right, so that is good. So that's for Memories of Another Life. The artwork is pretty cool on that one. And let's look at your Shadows of the Past, because if you see me, it comes out even when I want to test the precon. We get C.I.T.T the Destroyer. All right, so he is a pretty beast. He's a brute. One scheme, 3 attack minion with 5 health, guard and retaliate. So he's pretty strong. He's got 3 boost icons on him, so definitely a contender for a really bad time. All right, so 1/3, very, very strong minion. But, once Drax is fully built, he takes him out in one shot. All right, so he's not super, super dangerous. But what makes it dangerous is this card. In solo, it's not too bad. But as soon as you're going into a 4-player game, this card is a priority number 1 to get rid of. There's no icons. It's 2 boosts. But it says each enemy gets +2 attack. So those little minions that attack for 1, you're like, oh shoot, now they're attacking for 3. The villains get an attack for 2 extra. So definitely a priority. Whatever is, if you're not going to lose the game, get rid of this right away, because you are gonna hurt. +2 attack to each enemy. There's not much more to say about that. All right, there's also a cool attachment that says challenge accepted. It's attachment that's going to gain surge. So kind of like fanaticism, which I'm not a big fan of surge, but whatever. Surge attached to the enemy with the highest attack. It's a nemesis card. I don't really mind. All right, so attach the enemy with the highest attack power. So again, if it's not what's his face, C.I.T.T, hopefully it goes to a minion. All right, because it can be very dangerous on the villain. And it says force response after Drax, and this is very important. After Drax and only Drax deals 4 or more damage to the attached enemy with a single attack. Discard this card. All right, so if you're not Drax, it doesn't matter who else is playing this. If this is on the villain and Drax is stunned or confused or he's exhausted and he doesn't deal the 4 damage, this is staying on the villain or on the enemy that has this. All right, so that's super, super important to remember. Only Drax can get rid of that card. All right, so I like that it's very hero specific. I like what they did with the Nebula side scheme It's got 4 on it, and it's only her that can take care of it. So I really like that. And then there's 2 copies of I Will Destroy You. All right, so if you're an alter ego, it's a surge, which is normal. But when revealed in hero form, Yota the Destroyer attacks you with +1 attack. But if no attacks were made, the villain attacks you instead. So again, 2 more things that make the villain attack. So there it is. So Drax, definitely going to be one of my favorite heroes so far. I've loved playing him. The only right now, I don't have a build for him in Justice. I don't, like, aside from that, this Think Fast that, you know, makes you want to go through his deck really fast. You don't even build the vengeance counters. You just kind of stay in alter ego. You go up, take a vengeance, heal, play some cards, go back down, draw 6, play Think Fast, draw 6, and just flip back and forth until you have, let's say, your 3 skilled investigator, your 3 what's their faces, the 3 beat cops, and then all of the rest of the preparation cards there. You can put the van and everything. So there is nothing very exciting about Drax and Justice, and that's okay. But I found really cool builds for aggression, protection, leadership, well, leadership is pretty much the same as anything, but it's a very Mantis-focused deck, which is fun. And yeah, that's it. And that's it. Yeah, so that was my breakdown of the Drax Hero Pack. Super fun, super interesting character. Very fun. Wish this mechanic was on Hulk again. It would have made Hulk a way better hero. But again, that's me just... and then I don't know what I would have done with Drax, but you know what? It could have been a little bit of the same. But... and just call it Vengeance instead of Rage, you know? His rage builds up. All right, so cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do like it, please hit that like button. Smash the like button. I think some people have been saying smash the like buttons. But yeah, just I hope you guys like the content. It's always a pleasure to do this, and always have your feedback from these. Always appreciate it. So guys, keep on playing Marvel Champions, and I hope this will help you beat the game. Ciao, ciao, gang.